Tonight, the lines are drawn between the land developers and the land protectors at Caledonia, while the police wait to enforce an injunction.
And so I knew in my heart that if I didn't do something visible, big, that we might have one of the worst winters of suicides we've ever known.
He is fasting to move the Saskatchewan government to support a suicide prevention program.
They give me ideas, and they make me want to become an entrepreneur myself because it seems like it's fun.
And these young people are learning from the pros what it takes to become an entrepreneur. Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. A Métis man in Saskatchewan who is holding a political protest on the grounds of the Saskatchewan legislature says he will fast for 44 days. Tristan DeRocher walked 600 kilometers from Orange to Regina, where he's been staying in a teepee. He and others have been pushing for meaningful suicide prevention legislation. DeRocher's on day 12 of a 44-day tea fast. He chose 44 days for the number of Saskatchewan MLAs who voted against the suicide prevention bill earlier this year. Today, DeRocher was joined by people from all walks of life who have lost loved ones and political leaders, including National Chief Perry Bellegarde.
COVID came and broke that long chain of circles of protection that people would have during the summer months. And so I knew in my heart that if I didn't do something visible, big, that we might have one of the worst winters of suicides we've ever known.
This affects all 634 First Nations. It affects all of our people on reserve, off reserve, and urban centers. It affects Métis people, Dene people, Cree people, all peoples. And so you need to provide hope. And Tristan, that's what you're doing. You're providing hope. And it's up to us now, as Assembly of First Nations and FSIN and Tribal Council and treaty areas, to put pressure on the decision-making peoples in this house here, in that house in Ottawa. So legislation in place to adequately deal with this crisis.
Now, DeRocher is due in court on Thursday, where he will argue against the provincial court order to have him and his supporters removed from the grounds. An emotional vigil was held last night for the victim of Winnipeg's 27th homicide. Joshua Hansen was killed last Thursday night outside the Mount Royal Hotel.
He was a happy kid. He was fun to be around. He loved people.
The vigil was held on Higgins Avenue, where Hansen was found suffering injuries before being taken to hospital, where he later died. Family and friends are remembering him as a talented hoop dancer who traveled around Canada. He was also a member of the LGBTQ community. Those closest to him are devastated over his loss and are searching for answers.
We want justice because it's not fair.
You know, he wasn't even a threat to anybody. He wouldn't even hurt anybody as small as me. And we want to help people in the same predicament as Joshua, because that's what he would have wanted.
Family is raising funds to help cover the cost of his funeral. The homicide unit continues to investigate. Anyone with information is asked to contact Winnipeg Police. A raging forest fire in northwestern Ontario has prompted an evacuation order for the entire town of Red Lake. The fire began yesterday near the town and quickly spread. Water bombers are trying to contain the blaze. About 4,000 people live in Red Lake. Town officials are coordinating air transportation for those who can't leave on their own. Flights were expected to start today. A temporary shelter has been set up at a recreation area. In Quebec, Atikamekw from Wimou-Taché are joining forces with the Innu of Pessamit to demand $500 million in reparations from Hydro-Quebec for developing on and profiting from their ancestral territory. More than 30% of Hydro-Quebec's development in the province is carried out on traditional territory. Sipekne'katik and Pessimit say they want a seat at the bargaining table and a share of hydro profits, even threatening to interfere with an upcoming project. Pessimit Chief René Simon says they're simply calling for a nation-to-nation rapport.
Depuis les années 80, c'est toujours la même réponse des gouvernements. On est prêt à la réconciliation. On est prêt à écouter, on est prêt à écouter les revendications. Il n'y a jamais de résultat.
A Mi'kmaq First Nation wants the Nova Scotia government to stop a highway project until treaty rights and title of the Mi'kmaq are discussed. And they are using a recent court win to make their case. The Sipekne'katik First Nation says an environmental assessment does not fulfill the legal duty to consult, as laid out by the recent Alton gas court case. And they say the Windsor Causeway project on the Avon River will impact the environment, and the blockages of the fish passage have already led to fish kills, risking food sources within the Bay of Fundy. Community members have set up a camp to monitor the fish. Construction began to twin the highway in central Nova Scotia last May. Well, there's lots more still to come, but as we head to break, here's a story we have coming soon on APTN News.
I'm Charlotte Mort-Jacobs, and I'll be bringing you this story soon on APTN National News. Melting permafrost is threatening traditional Dene practices in the Decho region of the Northwest Territories.
Up the creek, where we know where our tent was, we used to land there, and there's a point there called Seagull Island. We used to go ride along the shore, but now it's just one big point, no shore.
We'll talk about the challenges.
And that landslide size was right here.
And what's being done to adapt. That story soon on APTN National News.
Here's a look at Wednesday's weather forecast starting on the East Coast. Sunny and 30 for Charlottetown, 29 under the sun in Halifax. Rain in Nain with a high of 23, 24 in showers for Cartwright. 29 in Montreal with sunny skies, 23 with showers in Chibougamau. 29 in Toronto, Ottawa, Sarnia, and Windsor. 28 and sunny in Thunder Bay and Sioux Lookout. 20 for Churchill, 25 in Norway House. 30 for Winnipeg, 30 in Gimli with showers. 29 with rain in Regina, 27 in Saskatoon. 21 in Meadow Lake, 20 with rain in Uranium City. Welcome back. A new partnership between a Winnipeg school division and a fabrication lab will teach Indigenous students the necessary skills to be an entrepreneur. And as Daryl Stranger tells us, this program is not just classroom learning, but also hands-on working.
8 Indigenous grade 12 students from Seven Oaks School Division will participate in a new entrepreneur program with the North Forge Technology Exchange. A grant from the Centre for Aboriginal Human Resource Development allows the students to be paid as part of this program, and the new Indigenous Mentorship Program is based off the Met Innovation Centre for Entrepreneurship, which was designed for students interested in creating startups.
Growing off of, I guess, the success that the students had with that program, the superintendent of Seven Oaks School Division, Matt Henderson, contacted North Forge to help out with this program during the summer with the Indigenous student mentorship program. He knew that North Forge could help out in terms of learning opportunities for the students and showing them how to use some of the equipment.
The fabrication lab produces anything from coasters and wall art to microchips and computer parts. The students will learn how to take a business idea from infancy and bring it to market in a classroom setting from Scott Angus, who taught as part of the Met Innovation Center for Entrepreneurship. They will also learn to use machines like 3D printers and laser cutting, which can help bring a physical prototype to life.
And in this specific part here at North Forge, we do a lot of training, whether it be related to equipment skills, but also skills related to entrepreneurship. So innovation, problem solving, idea brainstorming, things focused around potentially building a business, but more so bigger than that, just getting something off the ground and building something that they're interested in, passionate about.
For students in the program, learning hands-on skills like laser cutting is valuable, but meeting new people and seeing options other than going straight to university is refreshing for them.
I like doing all the presentations that we get and learning more about the entrepreneurs that come in. They give me ideas, and they make me want to become an entrepreneur myself because it seems like it's fun. It made me look that there's a lot of options in the world on what to do. And there's not just university and college. You can start your own business.
Want to go to school for contracting and things like that, and it's definitely now, because I never knew about this place until we came here, and I was just like, what is North Forge? And we finally got to learn about it. I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. I was like, I get to literally come here and suggest an idea, and they'll make it happen. So.
Vice President of North Forge, Marnie Stapley, says it's all about the students and making sure they walk away with something of value from the program.
It's not about us, it really is all about the students, and we're just super excited to help teach, have the students learn new skills and just see the growth in what they're learning throughout the summer.
The program runs until the end of August, and students will design a logo and make shirts to commemorate their experience. And it will continue next summer with a fresh group of students. Daryl Stranger, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Some pretty cool looking work. Well, a drive-in concert. It's something you'd only experience in this time of COVID. And it took place this weekend across the river from Ottawa in Gatineau, Quebec. It's part of the Blues Fest concert series happening all month and featured performances from Indigenous artists. Métis singer-songwriter Amanda Rayholm and Algonquin bluesman Lyle Ojik were just two of the performers. Both of them were grateful for a gig and excited to play again, as this pandemic has derailed the summer concert circuit.
And then COVID happened, and those all went right down the drain. So this is the main gig of the summer. But I'm hoping that some of the other venues get back in action, and we're able to get some bookings in there.
I'm so excited. This is the first live show I've done since February, so it's 6 months. I don't even remember the last time I took 6 months off of the stage, so I feel so honored to get to play this Blues Fest this year.
Such a great idea. I would love to see some live music right now. Well, we got to step aside for another quick break, but when we come back, the very latest from the situation in Caledonia. Here's a look at the rest of Wednesday's weather forecast, picking back up in northern Alberta. Showers and 16 for Fort Chip, High Level, and Fort McMurray. 25 and sunny in Medicine Hat. 19 with rain for Edmonton. 20 in Vancouver under sunny skies, showers, and 20 for Victoria. 19 with rain for Fort Nelson, 12 and rain in Dease Lake. 17 with showers for Old Crow and Whitehorse, 15 with rain in Mayo. 20, and rain for Yellowknife, sunny and 23 for Norman Wells. A high of +3 for Sax Harbor, 10 in Paulatuck. 19 and sunny for Baker Lake and Whale Cove, 20 for Chesterfield, +3 with a chance of snow in Resolute, 11 in Clyde River. Welcome back. In Alberta, the Métis people have something unique. Alberta is the only province in Canada where the Métis have a land base. For 80 years, 8 settlements have been home to generations of Métis. In this first of 3 stories first aired in March, Chris Stewart brings us the history of these Métis settlements.
Herb Lair is the president of the Métis Settlements General Council and member of the Fishing Lake Métis Settlement, one of 8 Métis settlements in Alberta. Lair knows all about the beginnings of the settlements. In 1932, 5 men formed the Métis Association of Alberta and fought to have their own land. In 1939, they succeeded, and the East Prairie Métis Colony was started.
And so they came forward and they advocated, and they had a federation of Métis, of the Métis settlements of Alberta, which they then took forward their concerns on our behalfs and continued to advocate for us and to create change for us. They're our founding fathers.
Marcel Auger has lived in the East Prairie Métis Colony, changed to settlement in 1990, since he was 5 years old. He says his family's first years were tough, but his family prospered.
And when the settlements opened up, you could hunt any time of the year in the settlement for your food, and then you could trap. So it was a good opportunity for my dad and the family.
Marcel says his family had a large area of land to develop.
We survived on 40 acres of land. You know, we had cattle, hogs, and chickens, and whatever, and horses. We had a lot of horses. Probably used to have about 50 head of horses, but we used them for work and for everything, you know. Whatever we use horses, and it was good.
In all, there were 12 Métis settlements created across the province, mostly in the north and not close to any large city. Not all the land was equal. Some had better soil than others. Some had lumber or oil. In the 1950s, 4 of the settlements were taken back by the Alberta government.
We had our members who were taken out of those communities. They were forced at gunpoint in some cases to leave their homes. The minute they were out of the home, those homes were burnt in front of them. We were told back then, the members were told, this land can't sustain you. And so they moved from, in most cases, very rich in agriculture capabilities as well as rich in the ability for oil and gas production, and moved to communities that had less opportunity.
The Métis Settlement Act was implemented in 1989, giving the settlement more power to self-govern. The settlements had sued in 1968 for lost revenues. It took over 20 years, but they were awarded $310 million in 1990, paid out over 17 years. Today, the president wants the federal government to step up with funding that he says they are obligated to after the 2016 Daniels decision by the Supreme Court, which ruled that the federal government has a fiduciary duty to Métis and non-status Indians.
Thank you very much, Province of Alberta, for stepping up and being stepdaddy. That when nobody else wanted to take on responsibility for us, you did. And you created a Métis Settlement Act and helped move us forward. But the DNA testing was done, and it was done in 1996 in the Supreme Court of Canada. Federal government, you have the fiduciary responsibility, you're daddy. And at this current point in time, Daddy's been not too good of daddy in stepping up, and we refer to them as deadbeat dads right now.
APTN asked Marcel Auger why it is that no other province has land exclusively for the Métis.
under Section 35 of the Constitution, we're all the same. So the Métis people from other provinces, we're no different than we are here in Alberta. We might live a little different than they do, but I don't know. And it's hard to say. I think they could get land. If they fight for it, they could.
The 8 settlements have a total size of 500,000 hectares, or the size of Prince Edward Island. 6,500 people live across the settlements. Coming up tomorrow, Paddle Prairie Métis Settlement lost over a dozen homes and almost all of their hunting grounds from a massive fire this past May. APTN National News looks at how they are returning to normal after this tragedy.
Canada's top doctor, Theresa Tam, said non-surgical masks can help control the spread of COVID-19 for those that want to protect others. And one woman in Saskatoon recently posted a step-by-step online tutorial on how to make face masks. Here's an encore presentation of Priscilla Wolf's story.
Métis fashion designer and seamstress Amelia Vilbrin, who grew up in the Métis community of Green Lake, has been sharing her online tutorials for face masks for weeks.
I keep hearing that there's a shortage of masks. And since we don't know what we're really dealing with and the rules keep changing all the time, I guess maybe a little bit desperate that I wanted to protect my family and my loved ones.
Vilbrin has been sending her handmade masks to family and friends and elders. She decided to share her craft online to help people sew some for themselves.
Well, I always wanted to do tutorials, and I guess this time it started out of desperation and boredom, and just I'm not much of a sitter, so I got to be doing something. I think that this is the way of the future, and this is something that I'm going to keep doing. I think that it could help people, and I think it is time for women to start sewing again. This is also something healing. I always find sewing is healing.
People have been using her tutorial to help themselves make masks at home.
All the sewers are keeping in touch with each other, and we're all excited about helping somehow. And the people that know how to sew, that want to tackle it, have watched it and reached out to me and told me that it was easy instructions.
Vilbrin has been sharing her online tutorials on her Facebook page, but she plans to put them on YouTube to get more people to learn a traditional skill in a pandemic age. Priscilla Wolf, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
And that's your APTN National News for this Tuesday. For more on these and other stories, visit our website, aptnnews.ca. That's where you'll find the very latest out of Caledonia today. And never miss an update by downloading the APTN News app. I'm Dennis Ward. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great night.